The alarms were already screaming through the cardiac wing when the nurse burst into the consultation room. "Dr. Kendra Washington," she gasped. "We need you in OR 3. VIP patient. Massive MI. He's crashing." For a split second, Kendra Black, brilliant, composed, didn't move. Then instinct took over. She snapped off her gloves, shoved the chart aside, and strode toward the surgical hallway. "Vitals?" she asked, dropping. "He's hanging on. But barely. Name's Harrison Whitmore, white male, CEO of Whitmore Technologies." Kendra stopped so abruptly that the nurse nearly collided with her. It was the single moment she'd spent nearly a decade preparing herself never to face. The name she had buried under years of sleepless nights, medical exams, emergency shifts, and the laughter of 3 children who would never know the truth. Her ex-husband, the man who'd broken her, the man she had once loved more than her own future, and the man who had called her barren. Heat surged behind her ribs, but she forced it down with the precision of a scalpel. "Prep the room. Start him on norepinephrine. Page anesthesia now." "Yes, doctor." She moved, but her legs felt strangely disconnected from her body, like she was floating through someone else's nightmare. 9 years. She reminded herself 9 years since she'd walked out of a home that had never really been hers. 9 years since she'd held a positive pregnancy test and realized that fate had played a cruel joke on her, or maybe blessed her in disguise. 9 years since she'd promised herself she would never, ever let Harrison's name hold power over her again. And yet now, of all the millions of hearts in this city, the one failing belonged to him. The hallway tilted for a breath before she caught herself calm. "Girl, breathe. You're not the same woman you used to be. You're not the shattered 20-something begging a man to choose love over lineage. You're a surgeon, a damn good one. And this is just another patient. A lie, but a necessary one." As she reached the changing room, she tied her hair into a tight knot, slipped into scrubs, washed her hands, and let the cold water anchor her. She could hear her pulse pounding behind her ears. But her hands stayed steady. They always did. She had rebuilt herself with these hands. She pushed into the OR. Bright lights flooded her vision. Machines beeped frantically. Nurses moved like a rehearsed orchestra around the operating table. And in the center, there he was. Harrison. Even unconscious. He radiated the remnants of power. Sharp jaw. Silvered hair. Attention carved into the lines around his mouth. The arrogance that once defined him had thinned, replaced by exhaustion, vulnerability, mortality. But to Kendra, the first shock was how familiar he looked, and how painfully nothing had changed. Her heart didn't race from desire, those days were gone, but from memory. The memory of loving him, and the memory of losing everything because of him. Anesthesiology nodded to her. "Patient is sedated and stable enough to begin." "Let's proceed," she said. Her voice didn't crack. Thank God. Scalpel in hand, she leaned over the man who had once dismissed her as defective and unwanted. A man is now fighting for his life. Inside that OR, there was no space for emotions, only anatomy, only precision, only survival. "Beginning sternotomy," she announced. The room fell into the sacred silence of focus. Her hands moved as if guided by muscle memory and divine will. Each incision is exact. Each bypass graft was placed with near-artistic precision. She shut out everything else his name, their past, that cruel final fight, the nights she cried alone after he left for Patricia, the day she learned she was pregnant with his children. The world shrank to a failing heart, and the woman determined to save it. Hours later, she sutured the final graft. Bypasses complete. Rhythm is strong. Let's close. Relief flickered through the OR team, but not through her. Relief wasn't something she allowed herself anymore. Not with this man. Not with this history. When Harrison was moved to recovery, Kendra stepped out of the OR, peeled off her gloves, and closed her eyes. You saved his life. You didn't do it for him. You did it because you're a surgeon, and that's who you are now. But the universe was playing games. A gust of cold air swept through the hallway as she walked toward the glass panel outside the ICU. There he lay still, pale, hooked to lines and machines, breathing only because she made it possible. Her pulse thudded painfully. He has no idea. He has no idea who saved him. He has no idea he has children. He has no idea his past is about to collide with his present. She blew out a breath and turned to leave, but slammed straight into a heavily pregnant woman wearing diamonds that could blind a stadium. The woman blinked, startled, before her expression sharpened. You must be the surgeon. Yes. Dr. Washington, I'm Patricia Whitmore. Kendra froze, not at the name she expected that, but at the audacity. Patricia's eyes flicked over her with the incredible precision of someone assessing a rival without fully understanding why she felt threatened. Is my husband awake? Patricia asked. Not yet. When will he be? When his body decides he's ready. Patricia pressed her manicured hand over her belly. He has crucial meetings this week. The board is waiting. Kendra's jaw tightened. Your husband went into cardiac arrest. He'll return to work when his heart safely allows it, not a moment sooner. Patricia's nostrils flared. Do you know who my husband is? Kendra said softly. And I know exactly who you are. A subtle tension filled the air. Patricia straightened her shoulders, lifting her chin with a look of offended pride. I want an update every hour. You'll get updates as necessary. Patricia's eyes narrowed. I've seen your name somewhere before. Kendra didn't flinch. Not in any way that concerns you. She walked away before Patricia could pry deeper. Her pulse hammered, but her stride was steady. The last thing she needed was to confront the woman Harrison chose over her, while their 3 secret children waited at home, blissfully unaware. The elevator doors slid open. Kendra stepped inside, only to hear a familiar cry, echoing down the hall. Mommy. Her entire world shifted. Lily barreled toward her, curls bouncing wildly. Behind her, James and Noah walked quickly, eyes bright with excitement. Kendra dropped to her knees. What are you 3 doing here? You're supposed to be home with Mrs. Chan. She had to pick up her grandson, James said matter-of-factly. She dropped us here instead. We missed you, Noah whispered. Kendra hugged them 3 small bodies that carried pieces of Harrison's face and spirit, but she whispered silently to herself. Not now. Please. Not now. From the corner of her eye, she saw Patricia standing frozen in the hallway, staring at the triplets with a strange, tightening expression. like she was solving a puzzle she didn't even know she was assembling. Kendra stood quickly. "Let's get you to the cafeteria. Then Mrs. Chan will take you home." As she ushered them toward the elevator, her heart thudded with a painful revelation. Harrison wasn't the only one fate had dragged back into her life today. Fate had brought all of them, all the secrets, all the consequences, all the unfinished wounds. And for the first time in 9 years, the ground beneath her felt unstable again. If you're here for stories of redemption, second chances, messy love, and the delicious chaos of fate catching up with the people who deserve it, make sure to like, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a twist. Because this story, it's about to get a whole lot deeper. The recovery room lights glowed in muted blues when Harrison finally stirred. His eyelids fluttered, breath catching as memory slowly fought its way back. Pain in his chest, chaos in the boardroom, collapsing to the marble floor. And now, machines, sterile air. A dull ache radiated through his ribs. A voice cut through the haze. Calm, controlled, unfamiliar, yet somehow deeply known. "Welcome back, Mr. Whitmore." He turned toward the voice, groggy. But when his gaze landed on the woman standing beside his bed, his pulse leapt so violently, the monitor beeped in alarm. "Kendra." His voice rasped, barely a whisper. She didn't flinch, didn't smile, didn't acknowledge the avalanche of emotions crashing over him. Instead, she adjusted the IV line with professional precision. "It's Dr. Washington," she said, tone neutral. "You came through surgery successfully." Surgery. Heart attack. Right. That explained the pain, but not her. Not her in front of him. Not after 9 years. "You," he swallowed. "You saved my life. It was my job." She answered. "Nothing more. Nothing more." The words landed like stones on his chest. He studied her quietly. The woman he remembered had softer edges, gentle hope in her eyes, a shy determination to build a life with him. This woman sharp, controlled, radiant in a way that wasn't about appearance, but about strength forged through fire. "What happened to you after?" he asked. Her lips tightened. "We are not discussing our past. We're here to talk about your recovery. But I'm your surgeon, not your ex-wife." The finality in her tone sliced deeper than any scalpel. Before he could respond, the door opened sharply. Patricia swept in, perfume hitting the air before her voice did. "Harrison. Thank God you're awake." She rushed forward, one hand supporting her pregnant belly, the other reaching for his arm. He masked his discomfort. "I'm fine. You nearly died." Her voice trembled with practiced vulnerability. "I've been terrified." Then she turned toward Kendra. "Doctor, when can he be discharged? He has significant commitments next week." Kendra's expression chilled. "He won't be attending any meetings. Your husband barely survived a massive cardiac event. His recovery will take weeks. That's impossible." Patricia snapped. "He is launching a product line. Investors expect. What investors expect won't matter if he's dead." Harrison saw Patricia's face flush with indignation, but before she could retort, Kendra stepped back. "I'll return later for evening rounds," she said. "For now, Keep him calm. She left without another glance. But Harrison's eyes followed her until the door closed, and something inside him cracked. Patricia placed a hand on his arm, but he barely noticed. All he could think about was the look in Kendra's eyes, the icy shield she'd built, the hurt beneath it, the walls he had put there himself. "What's wrong?" Patricia asked. "You look strange." "Nothing," he murmured. "Just tired." But his mind was racing. Kendra was here. Kendra had saved him. Kendra was different, stronger, colder, breathtaking in ways he had never appreciated. And he had 1,000 questions. Hours later, after the bustle faded and hospital lights dimmed, Kendra returned for evening rounds. She entered silently, chart in hand, only to find Harrison awake, eyes clear and watching her the second she stepped inside. "You did incredible work," he said softly. "I always do," she replied. "Can we talk?" "No." "Kendra, Mr. Whitmore," she corrected. "Your job is to recover. Mine is to oversee that recovery. That is the only dynamic between us." His chest tightened, not physically, but emotionally. Regret, raw and sharp, rose like bile. "I owe you an apology," he murmured. She stiffened. "Save it. I'm not interested." "I am." For what she said, turning fully toward him, for calling your wife defective, for leaving her when she needed you most, for replacing her before the ink dried on the divorce papers. Her voice didn't waver. His did. "I was wrong," he whispered. "I was cruel. I was stupid." She didn't soften. If anything, she grew colder. "That was a long time ago," she said. "We're not going backward." He studied her carefully, noting the flicker of something pain pure at the edge of her calm. "You look different," he said quietly. "I am different. Did you ever—" His voice faltered. "Find someone else?" Her eyes met his for a heartbeat, a charged, intimate beat before she looked away. "My personal life isn't your concern." A sharp knock interrupted the tension. A nurse stepped inside. "Doctor, the ICU requested your review of 2 charts. Thank you." Kendra reached for the files. As the nurse left, Harrison exhaled. "Kendra." She paused. "For what it's worth, I'm grateful you were the one who saved me." She didn't look at him when she answered. "You don't know the irony of that statement." Then she was gone. Later that night, Kendra walked down a quiet hallway to check another patient, still replaying the scene in her mind. She shouldn't have let him get to her. Not after everything. She'd built a life that didn't include him, a life she fought tooth and nail, for a life she cherished. He was the past. Painful, destructive, irreversible. But as she reached the nurse's station, a small voice cut through her thoughts. "Mom." She turned. Lily stood there still in her ballet hoodie, blinking sleepily. James and Noah were behind her with their backpacks, coloring books sticking out, and wide, curious eyes. Her world stopped. "What are you 3 still doing here?" Kendra whispered. "We were waiting in the family lounge." As Mrs. Chan had said, James answered. "But the TV was boring, and we wanted you." Noah added softly. Kendra knelt, gathering them close. Their familiar warmth eased something in her chest. I know, baby. Let's get you home. But when she lifted her gaze, her heart froze. Across the hallway, just turning the corner, stood Patricia. Her eyes were locked on the children, and on their faces, 3 children, all the same age, with unmistakable pieces of one man written across their features. Patricia's expression twisted curiosity, shifting to suspicion. Then suspicion shifted into something far more dangerous. Kendra's pulse slammed. Kids, grab your things. She ushered them quickly toward the elevators, her voice low and steady, masking panic. No one could know, not yet, especially not the one woman most invested in protecting the Whitmore legacy and the unborn heir she carried. As the elevator doors slid shut, Lily hugged her waist. Mom, are you okay? Kendra forced a smile. Of course, sweetheart. But her mind raced. Harrison was awake. Patricia was watching. The triplets were here. The secrets were cracking open. And the past she thought she buried was dragging itself back into the light. Heartbeat by heartbeat. The next part of the story was coming for her fast, and nothing could stop it now. Kendra barely slept, even after settling the children at home, even after pacing her living room long past midnight. The images kept replaying Harrison, waking to see her face. Patricia staring at the triplets, the past cracking open like a fault line under her feet. By morning, her nerves were taut as piano wire. She arrived at the hospital early, hoping to check on her post-ops before Harrison woke again. But when she stepped into the cardiac wing, she immediately sensed something was wrong. Nurses whispered behind the desk, residents hovered in tight clusters, and every eye subtly flicked toward her with a mixture of curiosity and tension. The hairs on the back of her neck rose. Before she could ask, Doctor? Martinez approached, voice low. Kendra, we need to talk in private. Her stomach dropped. What happened? Follow me. He led her into a small conference room and closed the door behind them. For a moment, he studied her concerned, cautious. Kendra, did you treat Harrison Whitmore 9 years ago? I mean, personally? Her pulse stumbled. He was my husband. Ex-husband. Martinez winced. I figured as much. His current wife came to my office this morning. She wants a formal inquiry into whether there's a conflict of interest in your treating him. Of course she does. Patricia wouldn't waste a minute. That calculating glint in her eyes last night had said everything. She was already closing in. I handled the surgery appropriately, Kendra said firmly. The emergency protocol assigned him to me. I didn't request the case. I know. And you're one of the best cardiac surgeons in the region. The hospital stands behind you. Martinez paused. But Patricia isn't just anybody. Her family has influence. And she came in with suspicions. Kendra's breath caught. What kind of suspicions? Martinez hesitated. She said she saw children in the hallway, children who looked like her husband. Ice shot through her veins. Everything in Kendra's chest tightened, the very thing she had feared, the secret she had guarded with her soul. Martinez watched her closely, waiting for a reaction. Kendra forced her breathing to steady. Those are my children. Mine. Is he the father? She lifted her gaze. That was the moment she could lie, dodge, protect the fragile world she'd built. But she was too tired to play games, too tired to hide. "Yes," she said quietly. "They're his." Martinez closed his eyes. "Then things are going to get complicated. Kendra, very complicated. I know. You need to be careful. You're brilliant. But you're not immune to the influence of politics. I've handled worse." He gave her a look, part admiration, part warning. "Harrison is awake. By the way, and asking for you?" Of course he was. She nodded stiffly and stepped out of the conference room. When she entered Harrison's room, he was sitting up slightly, the morning light filtering over him. He looked pale, weak, but alert, almost expectant. His eyes locked onto her the moment she appeared. "Kendra." His voice was softer today, less confident, more human. She stayed near the door. "How's your pain manageable?" His focus sharpened. "You left so quickly yesterday. I didn't get to ask were those children." Her jaw clenched. "We're not discussing that here. I need answers, and I need you to be stable. Let Dr. Peterson handle your labs. I have rounds." She turned to leave. "Don't walk away from this," he said, surprising her with the sudden steel in his tone. "Not anymore." She stopped, slowly faced him. "Walk away, Harrison." "I didn't walk away. I was pushed. You don't get to rewrite history just because regret finally caught up to you." His expression tightened with shame. "You're right. But that doesn't change what I saw." "You saw children?" she snapped. "That's it. Children who look exactly like me." The words punched the air out of her lungs. He tried to sit up more, wincing. "Kendra, please. I've spent 9 years believing I failed you, that we failed together. But now I'm starting to understand I failed more than just us. I failed them." Her heart slammed painfully. She hated that he could still hit nerves she thought she'd severed years ago. "You failed because you chose to," she said softly. "You chose your family. You chose an image. You chose everything except me. I know." His voice cracked. "But if they're mine, let me at least know them. They don't know you. Then let me earn it." Her throat tightened. The fury she'd held for years battled against the part of her that still remembered him young, hopeful, flawed, wanting to be better than the legacy he'd been raised in. "This is not the time," she whispered. "Your heart can't take emotional stress." "What about your heart?" She froze. He studied her with a raw vulnerability that felt foreign on him. "You look at me like you're holding back a hurricane. What happened to you after I left life happened," she said, "and it didn't involve you." But his eyes dropped to the floor, filled with something that looked like grief. Later that afternoon, the children were at home with Mrs. Chan, and Kendra finally took a moment in her nearly empty office. She rubbed her temples, exhaustion clawing behind her eyes. She didn't hear the knock until the door opened. Patricia stepped inside. Kendra straightened. "This is a restricted area. You need permission to be here." "Oh, I have permission," Patricia said coolly, closing the door behind her. Her heels clicked softly against the tile. "I want to make something obvious." Kendra held her gaze. "Go on. You stay away from my husband. That's not your decision. It is when you're his ex-wife. It is when you're hiding something. Patricia crossed her arms. Those children, are they? His Kendra's pulse thudded. My personal life is not your business. Patricia smiled with sharp sweetness. So they are. Kendra neither confirmed nor denied. Patricia stepped closer. Listen carefully. I am the mother of his heir. I am his present. You are a closed chapter, and you will stay that way. Kendra didn't blink. I saved his life. You saved his body. Patricia leaned in. Not his future. The door opened abruptly. Both women turned. Harrison stood in the doorway, gripping the frame, his breath shallow. What's going on? Nothing, Patricia said quickly, brushing past him and just clarifying a misunderstanding. She hid the venom behind a perfect smile. Then she left. When she was gone, Harrison stepped inside. He looked at Kendra, chest rising shallowly from the walk, his expression soft, in a way she hadn't seen in years. Did she threaten you? He whispered. You should get back to your room, Kendra said. You're still recovering. Please answer me. She didn't say anything I didn't expect. He looked pained emotionally this time, not physically. Kendra, I don't know how to fix any of this, but let me try. Please. The sincerity in his voice cut through her defenses for one dangerous second, but she couldn't afford weakness. Not with Patricia circling. Not with the children caught in the edges of this storm. You should focus on healing, she said, stepping past him. Kendra. She didn't turn. If she turned, something inside her might break. That night, she returned home exhausted. The house was warm, soft lights. Homework spread across the table. The smell of chicken stew her sanctuary. But as soon as she stepped inside, Lily looked up from her sketchbook. Mom, she asked softly, are we in trouble? Kendra's heart twisted. What makes you think that? You look afraid, Noah whispered, and stressed. James added. She sank onto the couch, pulling all three into her arms. No, she murmured. You're not in trouble. You're the best part of my entire life. Lily's voice trembled. Is it because of that lady who stared at us? Kendra froze. Her children were perceptive. Too perceptive. Don't worry about her, she said. Everything's fine. But as she held them close, she knew the truth. Nothing was fine. Everything was about to unravel. Everything she had protected for 8 long years. And tomorrow would be worse. Because tomorrow, Harrison would learn the truth, and the world she built would never be the same. By sunrise, Harrison had made up his mind. He couldn't sit in a hospital bed another day without answers. The uncertainty coiled inside him like a second heartbeat. Every breath reminded him he had cheated death, and the woman who saved him was the same woman he had destroyed. He asked for a wheelchair and rolled himself toward the cardiac wing, ignoring the nurse's protests. He needed to see her. But when he reached the nurse's station, he saw her already in motion, directing residents, reviewing scans, donning gloves. She was a force now, a storm in controlled motion. She stopped when she noticed him. You shouldn't be out of bed. I need to talk to you. This is not the time. It has to be. She exhaled hard, then nodded toward an empty consultation room. 5 minutes. That's all I can give. He followed her inside. She shut the door. The silence crackled like static. Kendra, he began. Are they mine? She didn't answer right away. Instead, she stared at the wall for several long seconds, as if deciding whether the truth was safe to release. Finally, she said, yes. A single word, a single detonation. Harrison felt the floor drop away. How long? Since the divorce. You were pregnant when you left me. Yes. He pressed a hand to his chest, not from physical pain, but from the blow of realization. And you didn't tell me. You lost the right to know, she said softly. You forfeited it when you ended our marriage, like it was a business deal. I thought God. Kendra, I thought you couldn't have children. That was what tore us apart. No. What tore us apart was cruelty, disguised as practicality. You didn't ask how I felt. You didn't ask if we had other options. You just replaced me. He dragged a shaking hand through his hair. I was scared. I let my family push me. I was an idiot. You were a coward, she corrected. Yes, I was. She seemed startled that he agreed so quickly. He swallowed hard. What are their names? Her eyes flickered pain, pride, love, Lily, James, Noah. He closed his eyes, letting their names break him open. What are they like? Kendra hesitated. Then, against her better judgment, answered, Lily is creative, bold. She conveys emotion more effectively than most adults. James is brilliant with numbers, logical, driven. Noah is gentle, thoughtful, a storyteller. He listened like a starving man. They sound extraordinary. They are. He looked at her, voice shaking. And I missed everything. Yes. The weight of 8 lost years weighed heavily on him. He thought he understood regret before. He hadn't. Not even close. Kendra, he whispered. Please let me meet them. No. His head snapped up. You saw them yesterday, she said. They didn't know who you were. They have a life, stability. They don't need chaos. I won't bring chaos. You already have. He flinched. She continued. They're good kids. Harrison. Happy. Safe. Loved. I'm not willing to risk their emotional security for your closure. It's not closure, he said. It's a beginning. She looked away. For you. Maybe. For them. It could be devastating. How could knowing their father devastate them? Because what if you get tired? What if you disappear again? What if you realize you don't want 2 families? What if your guilt fades? It won't. You can't promise that. But I can try. He reached toward her instinctively, but she stepped back. Don't, she said quietly. Silence stretched between them, then a sudden knock. The door burst open. Patricia stood in the doorway, eyes blazing. So it's true. Kendra stiffened. Harrison turned pale. Patricia stepped inside. Slow and dangerous, all 3. Yours. Her children look like you carved them from your own DNA. Patricia, don't. She snapped at him. Don't you dare lie. Kendra squared her shoulders. This conversation doesn't involve you. Oh, it involves me. Patricia hissed. It affects my marriage, my child, our future, and the scandal you are creating. Kendra didn't waver. Your marriage is your business. My children are mine. Your children. Patricia scoffed. No, doctor, they are Whitmore's. And you hid them. Harrison's voice cracked. Patricia, stop. She rounded on him. Were you planning to leave me for her? Is that what this is? His silence betrayed him. Patricia let out a bitter laugh. Unbelievable. You destroy one woman, and now you're circling back like a vulture. He bowed his head, ashamed. Kendra stepped between them. Enough. Both of you. But Patricia wasn't finished. You think you can slip back into his life? She spat. Undo everything I've built. I am his wife. I am carrying his heir. Kendra's voice turned cold. He has 3 heirs already. Patricia's face contorted. And now the entire city will know. Not if you leave, Kendra said calmly. Patricia blinked, thrown. What? You can walk away? Kendra said. You can choose dignity. You can choose not to destroy your own life and let him run back to you. Kendra's voice dropped. He doesn't love you. Patricia, you know it. Patricia's throat tightened. For one fleeting moment, her mask cracked, revealing fear, hurt, desperation. Then she straightened. I'm not leaving, and I'm not letting you rewrite history. He belongs with me. She stormed out. The door slammed. Silence. Harrison sank into a chair, breathing hard. I am so sorry. Don't apologize, Kendra said. Please fix it. He met her eyes. I will fix everything, he vowed. I will not lose you or them again. She didn't answer. But for the first time, she didn't reject the possibility. She whispered, We'll see, and walked away. The next 48 hours unfolded like a fault line splitting open beneath everything Kendra had tried to protect. Patricia filed her complaint with the hospital board, triggering a mandatory ethics review, and ensured that every whisper that floated through the halls carried weight. Nurses avoided eye contact. Residents pretended not to stare. Even seasoned surgeons lowered their voices when she passed. Kendra acted unfazed, but the tension lived beneath her skin like a second pulse. Still, she worked. Still, she showed up for every patient. Still, she kept her shoulders straight, even when a senior cardiologist murmured behind her. She should have disclosed her history with Whitmore. He said it quietly, but she caught every syllable on the 3rd morning as she stepped into the break room for a rare sip of lukewarm coffee. She found Patricia waiting inside. Of course. The woman stood near the counter, arms folded, posture rigid as armor. The scent of expensive perfume clung to the air like a warning. You think you're winning, Patricia said calmly. You're not. Kendra set the coffee down. I'm not competing with you. You should be. Patricia answered. You should have always been. But you weren't smart enough back then, and you're not smart enough now. Leave, Kendra said quietly. Or what? Patricia stepped closer. Will you file a complaint? Have me removed? The hospital already knows who you are. They know your history, your lies. I didn't lie. You hid 3 children. They were never your concern. Patricia smiled, cold and precise. They are now. Kendra's jaw locked. Never discuss my children. They're Harrison's. Patricia tilted her head. And Harrison is mine. He's not a possession. No. Patricia whispered. He's a prize. Before Kendra could respond, the door swung open. Harrison stepped in. His eyes moved from Patricia's tense face to Kendra's rigid posture, and everything inside him tightened. What is happening? He demanded. Patricia straightened. Your doctor refuses to stop inserting herself into our marriage. I came here for coffee, Kendra said flatly. Stay out of this, Kendra. Patricia snapped. This is between my husband and me. Harrison stepped forward. Your problem is with me, not with her. Patricia looked stunned. Are you defending her? Yes. Pain flickered across Patricia's face before she smothered it. Do you know what everyone is saying? She whispered. That you only survived because of her. That fate brought her back. That you never stopped loving her. He didn't blink. She recoiled. So it's true. I'd prefer not to discuss this here. We're discussing it now. Her voice cracked. Tell me, do you love her? Kendra felt the walls closing in. Stop, she said softly, stepping back. This conversation doesn't involve me. It does, Patricia whispered, almost breaking. It involves all of us. No, Kendra said gently. It involves two people in a marriage that has nothing to do with me. Harrison's voice was low. It has everything to do with you. Kendra looked at him sharply, warning in her eyes. Patricia shook her head. You're unbelievable. She turned on her heel and stormed out, shoulders shuddering, hand trembling as she wiped her cheek. Harrison exhaled shakily. I'm sorry. You shouldn't have said that, Kendra whispered. Not now. Not while she's pregnant. I can't pretend everything's fine. Not anymore. You have to for now. He stared at her, heart aching. But she was right. Timing mattered. Chaos wasn't an option yet. Later that afternoon, Kendra scrubbed out of a minimally invasive valve repair and stepped into the quiet hallway. The moment her feet hit the floor, she heard footsteps rushing behind her. Dr. Washington. She turned. It was Lily, breathless, dragging her backpack behind her. James and Noah hurried after her, cheeks flushed. Her stomach dropped. What are you three doing here? You were supposed to stay home. Mrs. Chan had an emergency, James said. A real one. Not like the fake ones Noah sometimes pretends. I only pretended twice, Noah muttered. Kendra groaned. Where is she now? She dropped us off downstairs, Lily said. She had to leave quickly. Kendra rubbed her temples. This wasn't ideal. Not today. Not with tensions boiling. Not with Patricia prowling. And definitely not with Harrison somewhere on this floor. Okay, she said. Fine. Stay in my office. Do homework. No wandering. Lily nodded. James saluted. Noah hugged her waist. She led them to her office, opened the door, and froze. Harrison sat in the chair beside her desk, waiting. He stood the second he saw the kids. The kids froze the second they saw him. Kendra's pulse detonated. Why are you here? She whispered. I came to talk about the evaluation the board requested, he said. I didn't know they'd be with you. Silence. A heavy, impossible silence. The children watched him with identical wide eyes, curiosity, recognition, something deeper stirring beneath their expressions. Lily stepped forward first, always the bold one. "Were you crying earlier?" she asked gently. Harrison blinked. "What?" "In the hallway," she said. "You looked sad." He didn't know what to say. No one had spoken to him like that in years, with honesty, without agenda, without fear. "Yes," he admitted. "I was." She studied him with such gentle perception that it nearly undid him. Noah took a step closer. "Are you sick again?" Harrison smiled faintly, trying not to be. James moved beside his siblings and asked, "Are you scared?" The question hit like a fist. Harrison swallowed hard. "Yes." Kendra spoke sharply. "Kids, give us a moment." But Lily didn't move. "Why does he look like us?" Kendra stiffened. Harrison's breath hitched. James frowned. "He has the same eyes, and the same nose," Lily added, "and the same thinking face." Noah whispered that face. Kendra knelt beside them. "We'll talk about this later. For now." "Are you our dad?" Lily asked. The room went still. Kendra closed her eyes. Harrison exhaled shakily, kneeling too, meeting them at eye level. "I don't know if I deserve to say this," he whispered. "But yes." The kids stared. Lily's eyes filled with tears. "Why didn't you want us?" The world shattered. Harrison cupped her small hands. "No, no, sweetheart. I didn't know. I swear on everything I have, I never knew you existed." James looked confused. "Why didn't Mom tell you?" Kendra's chest rose sharply. "That's enough." But Harrison shook his head gently. "It's okay." He turned to the children. "Your mother was trying to protect you, and she did it well. You're incredible, all three of you." The kids softened just enough for something fragile to blossom. Before more could unfold, Patricia's voice sliced down the hallway like a blade. "Harrison." He stood quickly. Patricia appeared in the doorway, eyes locking onto the children like a predator spotting prey. "You brought them here," she hissed. "They came with me," Kendra said. "Convenient." Patricia's lip curled. "A family reunion while I'm carrying his heir." Harrison stepped forward, shielding the kids instinctively. "Stop." "No." Patricia snapped. "They're Whitmore's, and so is the one I'm carrying." She pointed at Lily, James, and Noah. "And if you think I'm letting you replace me with them, you're insane." "You need to leave," Kendra said quietly. "Make me?" Patricia's voice broke on the last syllable, and Kendra suddenly saw the truth, not anger, but fear. Fear of losing a man she never truly had. Security appeared seconds later. Patricia backed away, trembling, and let them escort her out. The moment she was gone, the triplets pressed into Kendra's arms. She held them tight. Everything was unraveling. Everything. And it was too late to stop it. Patricia's meltdown prompted the hospital ethics board to expedite the investigation. Overnight, news reached the upper administration. 24 hours later, HR requested statements. Legal became involved. And by the end of the week, whispers had transformed into full-blown rumors. The Whitmore family scandal was spreading like wildfire. Yet strangely, the only place where tension softened slightly was between Harrison and the children. After the hallway confrontation, Kendra took the triplets home early. But that night, the questions began. Is he really our father? James asked. Did he leave us? Lily whispered. Is he going to disappear again? Noah asked quietly. Kendra answered only what she could, and nothing she said soothed the ache in their voices. By morning, she finally agreed to something she never thought she'd allow: one controlled meeting. Supervised. Neutral location. A small corner of the hospital garden. At precisely 10 o'clock. Harrison arrived in a wheelchair, still recovering. The children sat on a bench, nervous and shy, while Kendra stood near a tree, heart pounding. He approached slowly. Hi. Lily looked at her siblings before asking, Can we talk alone? Just us and him. Kendra's breath caught. I'll stay close. But she didn't stop them. The three kids walked toward him. Harrison's hands trembled. They sat in a semicircle around his wheelchair, like they were interviewing him for a job he desperately wanted. James began, Why did you and Mom break up? Harrison inhaled sharply. Because I was foolish and weak, and I believed my family instead of my heart. Was your heart wrong? Noah asked. No, he whispered. My courage was. Lily studied him. Were you mean to her? He said honestly, and it's the greatest regret of my life. Silence fell. The children looked at each other, communicating in the quiet way siblings do, an entire conversation held in glances. Then Lily scooted forward. Are you still mean? He shook his head. I'm trying very hard not to be. James leaned in. Are you staying with the other lady? Harrison hesitated. No. Are you leaving her? Because of us? Lily asked. Because I should have left long before now, he said. Because I was living a lie. Because I never stopped loving your mother. Kendra stiffened at the tree. The triplets all turned to look at her at the same time. Mom, Lily called. He said he loves you. Kendra walked over slowly. He says a lot of things. Harrison looked up at her, raw, open, and I mean every one of them. She spoke softly but firmly. This isn't about us. It could be, he said. It shouldn't be, she answered. But her voice trembled. The triplets watched silently. They could sense the emotional tightrope their parents balanced on. Kids, Kendra said. Play for a few minutes. Lily hesitated. Are you two gonna fight? No. Kendra said. Probably. Harrison said. The kids ran off to a nearby fountain, leaving their parents under the shade of a magnolia tree. Harrison shifted in his wheelchair. I want to be a part of their lives. I know. And yours. I know. And I'm divorcing Patricia. Kendra folded her arms. She's pregnant. I'll support the child, he said. However, I couldn't stay married to someone I didn't love. You loved her enough to marry her. No, he said quietly. I married her to please everyone except myself. And now I'm doing what I should have done 9 years ago. Kendra looked away. People don't change overnight. No, he said, but hearts do. She laughed softly, unexpectedly. That sounds poetic. Heart surgery makes a man reflective. She sighed. You don't get to walk back into my life as if you hadn't destroyed it. I'm not walking, he said with a faint smile. gesturing to the chair. She almost smiled, and that scared her more than anything. He reached for her hand, but didn't touch it. Let me earn for you. Let me earn them. Let me earn us. You think redemption is that easy? No. He whispered. It's worth fighting for. She felt the truth of that settle into her bones. Before she could respond, Noah's voice drifted from the fountain. Mom. He is reading my story. They turned. Harrison was holding a short handwritten page that Noah must have handed him. The boy bounced excitedly. He likes it. Noah shouted. Kendra's heart cracked open. Slowly, quietly, painfully, just like it had broken. Harrison looked at her. Please, Kendra, give me time to prove I've changed. She swallowed hard. Time, she said, is all I can give you. He nodded. Then I'll take it. And for the first time in 9 years, the world between them shifted. Not healed, not forgiven, but open. A door cracked at the hinges. A beginning. And just beyond that moment, unseen, unspoken, something darker waited. Because the hospital had begun investigating. The Whitmore family had been alerted, and Patricia was nowhere to be found. A storm was building. None of them was ready for it. Rain hammered the hospital windows, as if the sky itself sensed the storm rumbling beneath the surface. The ethics investigation intensified. Administrators called emergency meetings. Lawyers drafted statements. And every step Kendra took down the hall felt heavier than the last. But none of that worried her as much as one thing: Patricia had vanished. Not answering her phone, not attending appointments, not responding to Harrison's lawyer. And she was 8 months pregnant. The uncertainty gnawed at everyone, especially Harrison. His recovery had progressed enough that he could walk short distances again, though with visible effort. However, stress caused his chest to tighten, and the cardiology team watched him closely. On Thursday afternoon, Kendra found him sitting alone inside the hospital chapel, somewhere he'd never set foot before. His elbows rested on his knees, hands clasped, expression pulled tight. She stepped inside quietly. Any news? He shook his head. Nothing. She sat beside him. She'll surface. She's angry, not reckless. You don't know her angry, he murmured. This isn't a tantrum. Angry. This is devastation, anger, and betrayal. You betrayed her, Kendra said gently. I know, and I'm not excusing myself. But she's pregnant, and she just disappeared. She's probably with her family. No. They called me. She's not with them either. Kendra felt unease slide down her spine. She wouldn't harm herself. I don't know, he whispered. I honestly don't know. Silence settled between them, heavy as the storm outside. After a long moment, he spoke again. Everything's spiraling. I wanted to fix things, make things right. Now I'm causing more damage. You're trying to undo damage, Kendra corrected softly. That's different. He looked at her with a mix of gratitude and heartbreak. Are we? Okay. We're working towards something, she said slowly, but we haven't defined what that is yet. He nodded. I'll take whatever piece of hope you give me. Before she could respond, her pager vibrated sharply. Air trauma incoming. Pregnant female. Unresponsive. Her chest tightened. Harrison watched her reaction. What is it, trauma case? She said carefully. I have to go. Who is it? She hesitated. He stood. Kendra. Tell me. She breathed out. The description matches Patricia. His world stopped. The trauma bay exploded into motion as paramedics wheeled in a stretcher. Rain soaked the gurney. Mud streaked the patient's clothing, and her face, pale and hollow, was undeniably Patricia. She was found near the base of a ravine, the paramedic reported. The car rolled. Unknown time frame. Unconscious when located. She's pregnant, a nurse added. Kendra snapped into surgical mode. Vitals. BP 86/40. Heart rate 130 and thready. Oxygen low. Prep for an emergency cesarean. Kendra ordered sharply. We're losing her. Harrison stood at the doorway, trembling. Is she? You can't be here. Kendra cut in. Go to the waiting room. No. I need to go now. If you stay, you'll be in the way. And she doesn't have time for that. Something in her tone, firm, unyielding, finally broke through his panic. He stepped back as the team closed the curtains. Kendra took command. Scalpels flashed. Hands moved in a practiced rhythm. Patricia's pulse weakened. The baby's heartbeat decelerated. Blood loss surged. We're out of time, Kendra said. Incision. The room held its breath. The child emerged silent. A nurse rushed the infant to be resuscitated. Patricia coded. Starting compressions. The anesthesiologist shouted. No heartbeat. Epinephrine. No response. Again. Again. And then, a faint rhythm. We have a pulse. The nurse cried. Kendra exhaled, shoulders trembling for the first time since stepping into the room. Stabilize her, she instructed. Transfer to ICU. Only after everything was handled did she allow herself to leave the trauma bay. She found Harrison standing just outside, bracing himself against the wall. His voice cracked. Is she alive? Yes. He sagged in relief. And the baby, he whispered. A boy. They're working to stabilize him. He pressed a shaking hand over his chest, eyes closing as tears escaped. She stood with him in silence, giving him space to collapse without falling. Thank you, he whispered, for saving them. She placed a hand on his arm. She wasn't my patient. She was a woman who needed help. His eyes softened. You were always better than me. She shook her head. No, I've just lived differently. He took a breath, steadied himself. Can I see her? Once she's moved. He nodded. And the baby. Soon. He swallowed hard. I'm unsure how to do this. You're doing it, she said. But what neither of them said was louder than what they did. This changed everything, and neither knew in which direction. 3 hours later, Patricia was stable in the ICU, the baby tiny, fragile, but breathing rested in neonatal care. Harrison stood between two worlds, past entangled in tubes and monitors, and future sealed in an incubator. Kendra was charting patient notes when she saw him approach. He looked older, worn down, but clearer somehow. Kendra, there's something you should know, he said quietly. She set her pen down. What is it? Before the accident, she found out I was filing for divorce. She must have seen the papers on my desk. He swallowed. She was leaving town. That's why she was driving. Kendra's chest tightened with realization. She wasn't running. She was hurting. Because of me. I can't comment on your marriage. But she didn't deserve that trauma. I know, he whispered. He paused, eyes lifting to hers. But neither did you. The honesty in his voice made her inhale sharply. He stepped closer. I'm going to take responsibility for the baby, for supporting Patricia through recovery, for everything. That's good, she said softly, but nothing changes how I feel about you. She looked at him, torn in two. Harrison, I know it isn't very easy. I know the timing is awful, but I'm not walking away. Not this time. Her heart squeezed painfully. We can't talk about this now, she whispered. Then we'll talk later. He replied quietly, but I'm not going to lose you again. He left her with that promise heavy, impossible, dangerous. She watched him walk toward the neonatal unit, hand pressed to the glass of the incubator where his newborn son lay. His shoulders shook. He didn't hide it. And for the first time, Kendra finally saw him as a man broken open, not arrogant, not cruel, not the tyrant who shattered her, but human. Human enough to crumble, human enough to change, human enough to love her the way she deserved. Thunder cracked outside as she turned back toward the hallway, yet she knew the real storm was only beginning. Because tomorrow, the hospital would deliver its verdict, and the Whitmore family was already circling like wolves. The next morning arrived sharp and cold, sunlight muted behind a layer of gray clouds. The hospital buzzed with tension. Everyone sensed something monumental was about to drop. At 800 a.m., Kendra received the summons. Ethics hearing. Conference room B. She exhaled slowly and headed down the hall, heels tapping with steady restraint. Inside the room sat the ethics board, 2 hospital administrators, HR, and unexpectedly Harrison. He stood the moment she walked in. I insisted on being present, he said. She stiffened. You shouldn't be. I'm already involved. Too involved, she said under her breath. But he didn't back down. The chair of the ethics board motioned for them to take their seats. Dr. Washington, he began. This hearing addresses concerns regarding a potential conflict of interest related to your treatment of Harrison Whitmore. Kendra nodded calmly. I understand. We've interviewed multiple staff members. The chair continued. Reviewed charts, examined protocols, and collected statements. HR leaned forward. The question is not whether you're an outstanding surgeon. You are. The question is whether personal history compromised clinical judgment. Kendra held her spine straight. I treated him with the same rigor and precision I give every patient. The hospital's legal counsel adjusted her glasses. Your ex-husband, the father of your children, that presents concerns regarding bias, emotional involvement, and potential deviation from impartiality. She didn't flinch. I saved his life. With accuracy, with discipline, with every guideline followed. Even so, the lawyer said, should you have recused yourself? Before Kendra could answer, Harrison spoke. She should not have recused herself, Harrison, she warned. No, he said firmly. They need the whole story. The room waited. He looked at the board. Dr. Washington is the most qualified cardiac surgeon in this entire state, possibly the country. My chances of survival were highest with her. That may be true, the chair said. But protocol matters, and so does reality. Harrison replied. I coded. Twice. There wasn't time to debate who operated. If she hadn't been there, I might not be alive. Kendra closed her eyes briefly. He continued, voice steady. She saved me. Not because of our past, despite it. HR interjected. And Whitmore, your presence here creates its own conflict. You are emotionally entangled. I'm also alive enough to testify about what actually happened. The board murmured. Kendra finally spoke, voice calm and clear. I didn't want to operate on him. I tried to decline. But ethically, medically, procedurally, I was the only attending who could perform the bypass in time. The decision wasn't personal. It was clinical. And what about afterward? Another board member asked. Your continued involvement. Kendra inhaled slowly. I requested another attending to take over post-op rounds. Chief Martinez overruled it. Heads turned. He assigned me to follow-up care despite my objections. She explained. That shifted the energy in the room. The board members whispered among themselves. After a moment, the chair raised a hand. We've reviewed the documentation. We find no negligence, no violation of medical ethics, no proof that personal history compromised patient care. Relief rippled through Kendra, a subtle yet profound sensation. However, the chair added, in the future, you will not be assigned to Mr. Whitmore's care. For the protection of all parties. Kendra nodded. Understood. But Harrison stiffened. No. I want her. The chair shook his head. Request denied. Kendra placed a hand on Harrison's arm. It's fine. It's not. It is. Their eyes held for a long moment, and for once, he let her lead. The board dismissed everyone. As the room emptied, Harrison lingered beside her. I'm glad you stayed, she admitted. His expression softened. I'll always stay. She didn't respond, but her eyes did. Before they could leave, another administrator stepped inside. Dr. Washington. One more thing. Kendra turned. The Whitmore family has scheduled a meeting with hospital leadership. They're demanding your suspension. Her breath stilled. Harrison's jaw clenched. Absolutely not. They claim your involvement with him jeopardizes public trust. The administrator continued. They're pushing aggressively. Kendra felt the room tilt. Harrison turned toward her, eyes burning with anger. My family doesn't control this hospital. They control the foundation that funds 3 Wings. The administrator said quietly. Kendra understood instantly. Money, power, reputation. The Whitmores would sacrifice anyone to preserve their empire. Even him. Even her. Even the truth. The administrator lowered his voice. Prepare yourself. They're ruthless. He left. Harrison faced her. I won't let them do this. You can't stop them, she said softly. I can. How? He stepped closer by standing beside you instead of behind you. Her heart twisted. This could cost you everything. No. He whispered. You are everything. She inhaled sharply. He continued, voice low and fierce. If they want a war, they'll get one. But your family, it's no longer my family if they force me to make a choice. Her breath caught. He meant it, truly meant it. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed violently in her pocket. Unknown number. She answered. A thin, shaking voice whispered on the line. Kendra, it's Patricia. Kendra froze. Where are you? She asked. A ragged breath. I need your help. Are you safe? No. A sob cracked the word. They took the baby. Kendra's blood ran cold. Who, she demanded. But Patricia's voice broke into static. The call ended. Harrison, watching her expression drain of color, stepped closer. Kendra, what happened? She looked up at him slowly. It's not over, she whispered. Not even close. And the world around them shifted again. Darker. Sharper. Ready to break. The line went dead, leaving a jagged silence that sliced straight through Kendra's chest. Patricia's voice, thin, trembling, terrified, echoed in her mind. They took the baby. Her hand was still frozen around the phone when she felt Harrison's grip on her arm. Kendra, look at me. His voice was low, tense, barely controlled. What happened? She forced air into her lungs. Patricia called. She sounded terrified. She said someone took the baby. His face drained of color. Who? I don't know. The call cut. Harrison pulled his phone from his pocket, already dialing Patricia. But it went straight to voicemail. He tried again. Nothing. Kendra paced, the adrenaline storm surging through her veins. Details clicked, pieces aligned, and the picture they formed chilled her. Harrison, she whispered, your family. The Whitmores. They have influence, power, a newborn heir. That's leverage. His eyes darkened. You think my family kidnapped my son? I think your family would do anything to control the narrative, she said. They're already angry that you filed for divorce. Angry you defied them. Angry about me, about the triplets. Taking the baby gives them control. Harrison sank into a chair, elbows on his knees, hands knotted. My grandmother, he said slowly. She warned me. Last week, said if I kept making reckless choices, they'd do what was necessary to protect the Whitmore legacy. Kendra inhaled sharply. She meant Patricia. And the baby. He lifted his head, anguish twisting his features. We have to find them. We will. How he whispered. Kendra stared at him, letting her pulse steady. Patricia reached out to me, not 911, not security, not your family. Me. She trusts me. That means she has no one else to turn to. So what do? We think like her, Kendra said. Hurt, alone, desperate. Who would she run to? Not her parents. Harrison said, they're loyal to my grandmother. And your grandmother, Kendra added. She wouldn't let Patricia disappear with the heir. Then where Kendra's eyes widened. Her sister, Patricia's younger sister, Cynthia, is estranged from the Whitmores, fiercely protective, stubborn, and the only one Patricia ever confided in. She lives in Oakland, Harrison murmured, near the old textile district. That's where we start, Kendra said. But we creep. Your family can't know what we're doing. He nodded. I'll get the car. They drove through the city in tense silence, headlights slicing through the fog rolling in from the bay. Oakland's streets buzzed with nightlife. But the deeper they went into the textile district, the quieter it became. Old warehouses, abandoned factories, narrow alleys filled with graffiti and broken glass. Are you sure this is it? Harrison asked, pulling into a shadowed alley beside a boarded-up building. Yes, Kendra said. Patricia would hide somewhere. No one would think to look. They stepped out of the car. A rusted metal door creaked open at the far end of the alley. A woman's silhouette appeared small, tense, shoulders rigid. Cynthia, Kendra called softly. The woman stepped forward, eyes sharp and wary. You came alone. Yes, Kendra said, and unarmed. Cynthia stepped closer until the dim light revealed her face, dark circles, desperate fear. This place isn't safe, she whispered. Come inside, quickly. They followed her into a converted loft, bare floors, stacks of old blankets, dim lamps powered by extension cords. On a makeshift mattress in the corner lay Patricia, pale but conscious, arms wrapped protectively around a small bundle. The newborn. Kendra exhaled in relief. Is he okay? Patricia nodded weakly for now. Harrison moved toward them, but Patricia flinched back. No, stay there. He froze. Pain flashed across his face, but he obeyed. Cynthia put a hand on her sister's shoulder. Tell them. Patricia swallowed, voice trembling. Your grandmother sent men to the hospital. They said the baby needed to be temporarily relocated for medical evaluation, but they tried to take him before I was discharged. I fought them. How did you get away? Kendra asked. I waited until one of them stepped into the hallway and ran. Patricia said, but they chased me. I barely got out. I called Cynthia. She picked me up. Harrison's voice broke. Patricia, don't, she snapped. Don't pretend to care. I was just a placeholder for your legacy. And when that legacy threatened to slip, your family decided I was expendable. This wasn't me, no, she said, eyes welling. But it was your name, your blood, your family. Cynthia crossed her arms. Now what? Those people are looking for her, for the baby, and if they find this place, they won't. Kendra said, we move them. To where Patricia asked. Kendra and Harrison exchanged a look. My house, Kendra said. They won't look for you there. Cynthia blinked. Your house, with your children, Kendra said, because it's safe, because no one would expect it, and because none of this is your fault. Patricia's breath hitched. Why are you helping me? After everything, Kendra knelt beside her, because the Whitmores hurt both of us, and because your son deserves safety, not politics. Harrison moved closer, voice quiet. Let me protect you. And him. Patricia wiped her eyes. What about your grandmother? Harrison's expression hardened, jaw tightening with a resolve Kendra had never seen before. She doesn't run my life anymore. They moved quickly. Kendra carried the baby. Cynthia guided her sister. Harrison watched every angle, every alley, every passing car. They returned to the vehicle without incident. The ride to Kendra's house was tense but uneventful. Inside, Kendra prepared the guest room while the triplets peeked curiously from the hallway. "Mom," James whispered. "What's happening?" "I'll explain tomorrow," she murmured. "Right now, we help." The children, wise beyond their years, nodded in agreement. Patricia settled into the room, exhausted, clutching her newborn. Cynthia stayed in the living room. Only after everything calmed did Harrison pull Kendra aside. "You saved them," he said softly. "You saved me first," she replied. He stepped closer. Not enough. His hand brushed hers, a whisper of a touch. Hesitant, but deliberate. Kendra didn't pull away. "Harrison," she breathed. "We can't." "Yes," he said gently. "We can." She looked up at him, really looked, and saw a man stripped of arrogance, humbled by loss, anchored by love. But her heart was still guarded. "Not tonight." He nodded. "No pressure, no expectations, just truth." "And what's the truth?" His voice dropped. "I'm in love with you. I never stopped." A sharp inhale escaped her chest. "But right now," he continued, "we focus on protecting our children, all of them." She nodded. A silent agreement, a fragile truce, a beginning carved out of chaos. Neither of them noticed the black SUV creeping slowly down the street outside. Its tinted windows hide the watchful eyes of a Whitmore family enforcer. The war wasn't over. It was just getting started. The morning sun spilled through the kitchen windows, warm and deceptively peaceful. But the tension vibrating through the house made every sound footsteps, whispers, even the soft hum of the refrigerator feel amplified. Patricia slept in the guest room. The newborn swaddled beside her. Cynthia kept watch from an armchair, eyes sharp even through exhaustion. And Harrison, he hadn't slept at all. Instead, he stood at the front window, watching the street, waiting, guarding. When Kendra stepped beside him, he didn't take his eyes off the view. The SUV came by again last night. "I saw. They're looking for her. Or the baby," she said quietly. A muscle in his jaw twitched. "They won't get him." She touched his arm, grounding him. "We'll outmaneuver them. Together." He finally looked at her. "I'm afraid for them. For us. For the triplets. We'll keep them safe." Kendra said, "I promise." Before he could respond, a small voice drifted into the hallway. Mom Noah stood in the doorway, with Lily and James behind him. All three wore matching expressions, fear mixed with determination. Kendra knelt. "You okay?" Baby Noah nodded slowly. "We heard you talking." Lily stepped forward. "Is someone coming to hurt us?" "No," Kendra said firmly. "No one is hurting you." "We won't let them," Harrison added, kneeling beside her. James studied him with sharp, assessing eyes. "What about the baby? Why would someone take him?" Harrison hesitated, but before he could answer, Kendra touched his shoulder. "I'll handle this." She faced the children. "Sometimes grown-ups make choices based on fear rather than love. Someone made a decision they shouldn't have, and we're fixing it." James nodded slowly. "Okay." But Noah stepped closer to Harrison. "Are you scared?" Harrison blinked, startled. "Yes." He answered honestly. But being scared doesn't mean giving up. Noah wrapped his small arms around him. Harrison inhaled sharply, hugging him back. Something inside him breaking and mending all at once. A soft knock interrupted the moment. Cynthia's voice drifted from the hallway. "She's awake." Kendra stood. "Let's talk to her." Patricia looked pale, but stronger. The baby slept beside her. Tiny fists curled against his chest. "Did they follow you?" she whispered. "No," Kendra said gently. "You're safe here." "For how long?" "As long as it takes." Patricia ran a trembling hand through her hair. "I don't understand why they want him." "I do," Harrison said, entering the room. Patricia stiffened, but didn't look away this time. "Your grandmother," she said, bitterness dripping from every word. "She sees him as a trophy. She sees him as ownership." Harrison corrected. "She thinks she can shape him into another Whitmore puppet." Patricia's voice cracked. "I won't let her near him." "You won't have to," Harrison said, "because I'm willing to do whatever it takes to keep you both safe. And that includes permanently cutting ties with my family." Patricia's mouth fell open. "Had you done that?" "For her, for them, for all of us," he said. The words hung in the air, heavy with truth. "You didn't deserve what they did." He continued. "You and the baby were collateral damage in a war you never signed up for." Patricia's eyes softened. "Thank you." Kendra watched, surprised by the shift, Patricia finally seeing Harrison's change, finally understanding he wasn't her enemy. But Kendra also saw something else. Fear still simmered beneath Patricia's calm. "What aren't you telling us?" she asked gently. Patricia hesitated. Cynthia stepped in. "Tell them." Patricia exhaled shakily. The night they tried to take the baby, one of them said something. "I didn't understand it at first." Harrison leaned forward. "What did they say, that the Whitmore heir wasn't supposed to be raised by either one of us?" Silence. Sharp. Cold. Kendra frowned. "Either one." "Yes," Patricia whispered. "Not me. Not you." Harrison froze. Me, Patricia nodded. "They said you weren't fit to raise him. The heir had to be molded by tradition, by the right hands." Kendra felt nausea coil in her stomach. "They planned to take the child from all of you." Patricia nodded. "He wasn't supposed to be ours. He was supposed to be theirs." Harrison stood abruptly. "I'm calling my lawyer. And the police. And no." Kendra said sharply. Everyone turned to her. "We go to the police. And the Whitmores will bury this. They'll twist the narrative. They'll overpower the system." "Then what do we do?" Patricia asked. "We expose them." Kendra said, "Publicly. On our terms." Harrison stared at her. "My family will come after us. I'm not afraid." She said, "Not anymore." A soft cry from the baby filled the silence. Kendra lifted him gently, swaying until he settled. She looked at Harrison over the infant's tiny head. This child deserves love, not legacy. And he deserves to know the truth. Harrison nodded slowly. "Then we fight together. For all our children." Kendra smiled softly for our family. A warmth spread through the room, fragile, hopeful, but real. As they gathered around the newborn Patricia, Cynthia, Harrison, and Kendra, something shifted. They weren't enemies anymore. They were protectors. An unlikely alliance. A rebuilt family. That night, the SUV didn't return. The shadows outside felt less threatening. And when Harrison slipped his arms around Kendra as she rocked the baby to sleep, She didn't pull away. For the first time in 9 years, she allowed herself to lean back into him, to trust his warmth, his breath against her neck, his heartbeat steady and unbroken. "We made it," he whispered. "We're still making it," she corrected softly. He kissed her shoulder, gentle and reverent, and in that small, quiet moment, surrounded by the children whose lives had rewritten theirs, the two of them stepped fully into their second chance. Not perfect, not simple, but real. And this time, it would last.